Morning, everybody. It's Thursday. I think it's August 2nd. I'm in a really cool place right now, but to those that know me knows I kind of uh, can just sit by a lake for hours. I don't know if it's the little bits of wildlife or the peaceful serenity of it, but I love lakes. You can see the sun rising behind me, and this is kind of where I did a passionate plea for our charities yesterday, but I wanted to kind of just give you a quick little visual so you're not looking at my face all day, but this is the little lake outside the where I met Pastor Fred yesterday. It's a nice little, you can see that. Hope I'm not screwing up with my visual. I took a picture, I'll share with you guys. A little bullfrog. I don't want to move my phone in the water. There's a little bullfrog right down there. Not a little, he's a big bullfrog. So anyway, let me get back to making you look at me right now. Um, it's August 2nd, a lot to talk about again as I sit down with my broken legs. Um, Sorry for making you dizzy. All right. Um, so today, let's talk about what I'm going to be doing today. My target area is an area called Winona Lake in Indiana. It's probably about 10 miles east of Warsaw. Warsaw, I know a little bit, is a pretty decent sized town. That's going to kind of be my midway point for the following day, which would take me to Boulder on Friday. I think the town's called Boulder. So if you're out there looking for me, please do so. Can't wait to meet you guys. As well, I want to tell you certainly about last night's recap and yesterday a little bit. I didn't do a night video last night. Some really poignant stuff, to be honest with you. So yesterday, I made it into town, and like a lot of times, if you guys are on any kind of bypass or interstate, the main bypass may go around a little town, and in this case it's called Route 30, and then they have what they call Business Route 30, which usually goes right down to downtown, that's where the main streets are and so forth. So when I was walking, first of all, I try to hit the main streets. I don't know this bypass in different towns. Sometimes there's not anything out there. So, plus, quite frankly, it was a little bit shorter to go right into downtown. So I headed to downtown, and I stopped in a place late afternoon called Duff's. And Duff's was a bar restaurant. And when I walked in there, it was just myself. I think a waitress and a bartender, or two bartenders that would change in shifts or something like that. And I sat and talked to them and gave them my usual, here's my card, can you follow me? We took some pictures, which was nice. And then, as I sat there relaxing, watching some TV, some other folks came in. Now, I feel bad for all the cashiers and waiters or waitresses around the country because they're kind of a captive audience to me. So if they come and want to take an order or take my money, they hear my spiel about what I do. So I've had a great time meeting a lot of those folks. But I don't typically just walk up to strangers. I may if they're in a driveway or in a shopping center, but I know sometimes in a restaurant or bar, people don't want to be bothered. They're there for their own reasons. I don't often just approach them. I just let them be. Now, if they ask me, hey, where you walking to, or what are you doing? I say, thanks for asking, and I tell them. So I'm going to jump all over the place here, as I tend to do. I have somebody that I need to give so much appreciation to and recognize that I think I might have the other day, but I get blurry. But I've got a friend of mine, Steve Rizza, and Steve is a guy from New York. I mentioned him. He came out to my going away party there, my little going away. Took a Amtrak out to spend a day with me and the family, which was really appreciated. He's just a great guy, but he's been behind me in this journey 100% since the day I left, and it's great. I have several people like that, and I want to thank them all individually as I go. But Steve has kind of become my navigator. He gets up in the morning and he will shoot me a thing. Where are you heading out to next? And he kind of just, I guess he doesn't want to see me get hurt, and he doesn't want to see me, not have a place to stay. So he kind of researches the towns ahead and just puts something out there that says, "Hey, Jim's coming to town. Keep an eye out for him." And because of those actions on at least 3 occasions, he's been the person instrumental in introducing me to the folks that reach out to me, come meet me on the road or at a restaurant or something like that. So, Steve, I love you. Thank you so much, man. In fact, he talked to me about meeting up on some leg of this journey and walking 20 miles with me, which he better take my advice as to how to do the socks and bandage the feet, because those first 20 are tough. But Steve, thank you. But anyway, one of the things he did yesterday was he reached out to some folks here in Columbia City, Indiana. And one of them was I guess a pastor at a church, or maybe his assistant. And I got an email saying, hey, call this, just have Jim call this number when he gets into town or whatever, and we'll do the best we can to help him. So I guess this young lady, I think Cynthia, might have reached out to the pastor and shared my story. And the pastor said, we have to have this guy's back. We've got to figure something out. So late in the afternoon, I didn't want to be rude. I called Cynthia and left a message, and half hour later she called me back and said, so what do you need? You need us to get you a room? And and I assume she meant kind of just book you a room at a hotel to help you along the way. And I certainly don't want to be taking any money from the church. I said, no, I mean, I greatly appreciate that as an offer. It was still early in the day. And I said, no, my story is about kind of meeting people. So I'd love to meet people. And, I don't need to lay any money out for me or anything like that. And she said, okay, well, let me check out some things and we'll call you back. So about a half hour later, I got a call back from Pastor Fred Staten. And he said, man, Cynthia shared your story with me, and we want to help you in any way we can. He said, the problem is, we have this beautiful church and we have some rec rooms and stuff like that, but we have alarms, and we don't know how to, we don't want you to trip the alarm, and we don't know how to, offset them, we don't want to shut them off. So I certainly understand that. I said, look, I'm pretty simple, guys. If you have an outbuilding or something like that, just with a roof over it, I got my sleeping bag. I've slept outside. I don't mind doing that. So Pastor said, well, I'll tell you what, I have a counseling session and some other things. I'll either pick you up later from where you are, or I'll meet you back at the church. Well, I'm not going to put him out, so I walked about 1.5 miles to a church, not his church. Ironically, there's a church about 1 mile down the road and kind of goes off the roads this way, and of course, 50-50, 90, 50-50 chance, 90% of the time I'll be wrong. My friend Adam came up with that, and sure enough, I was wrong. So I walked to a church 1 mile down the road, the first church. I said, this is not where I got to be. So I came down to the church here, waited outside. To the credit of the church, there's some strange men with a backpack hanging out outside. They have kids inside of the daycare, and they all make sure to come out at least several times and check, make sure, and ask, that for ID, and make sure I'm, not some litterer. So, I mean, if you have kids here, be proud that your kids are with people that understand and are aware, and ask the right questions. But I said, no, the pastor will be in about 10 minutes, and so the pastor came and took me out to dinner. But before I left Duff's, again, I'm all over the place, I apologize. Before I left Duff's, just as I was kind of packing up, one of the gentlemen on the other end of the bar said, hey, where are you walking to? And that's kind of all the opportunity I need to open the door to tell me it's okay to talk. So I said, well, thank you for asking. I gave him my card and told him, and he's like, that's kind of crazy, that's amazing, And then there was another gentleman who had sat next to me, and we didn't say a word to each other. I don't think we even, the only thing we did together was laugh, because Impractical Joke was on TV, which my kids love, and it was funny. And the jokers are from New York City, by the way, or Staten Island, in that area where I grew up, on the island. On Long Island I grew up. Anyway, we sat next to each other for maybe an hour and a half, and didn't say a word to each other. And as I left, I started talking to Sean and telling him about my journey, and he was really, it's pretty amazing, And at that point, the gentleman sitting next to me turned around and didn't say much, just became engaged and listening. And I said, can I get a picture with you guys? And sure enough, Sean and Kurt took a picture with me. My photos are not always the best, I apologize. But what was so remarkable was they both reached in their pocket and gave me a nice donation to say, hey, take this on your journey with you. What I found remarkable about it was the way it happened. Sean reached up and said, look, man, I'm battling cancer right now, and reached up his shirt and showed me what appeared to be, a colostomy bag or something along those lines. And I said, man, that's amazing. I love you. And Kurt just, took it upon himself and said, take this. And I shook his hand. And here I sat next to a man for an hour and a half. And I'm pointing the thumb at myself for this. I didn't engage him any more than he engaged me. In an hour and a half. And then inside of 4 minutes, about talking about a journey, here he's engaged with me, listening about it, and then he actually did start talking to me about it and so forth. So, as I left Duff's and started to head up to Pastor's church, and I think I'm going to run long today, guys, and I don't really care. I haven't run long in a while, so you may get 2 videos this morning. But as I left, I was really taken aback. I try to process, what the heck just happened? Well, how is this happening to me? I walked into town. I sat down. I met perfect strangers, and then somehow, in about 5 minutes of conversation, somehow we all have this common thread that we want better, and we want good, and we want to improve things. And as I walked away, this is only about a couple of hours after I had made kind of a video that I didn't want to make, that just talked about some of my struggles back home financially. And as I'm walking away, I'm shaking my head at the amazing graciousness of these two gentlemen, in particular Sean, who's battling stuff, right? And asking myself, what am I doing? I mean, this guy just gave me, money out of his pocket, and he's battling. And I wrestled with that for a few steps, and then it came back to me. And in fact, the pastor kind of solidified the thought in my head later on. Early on in my videos, if you watch them, I learned a lesson at a young age that to be able to accept graciousness, to be able to accept gracefully and humbly, is a gift, I guess, maybe one I don't have, and I'm learning. So to think about the fact that this guy, I don't know the stage, I didn't get into it, I didn't ask too many personal questions, but to think that this guy's suffering from a killer disease and thought enough to give me charity was just ridiculously amazing. As I talk about it now, I feel kind of shitty because I should be giving him charity. So maybe if we all pray for Sean, maybe that's the charity we can give him. Anyway, so Sean and Kurt. And then, like I said, not to minimize what Kurt did, but I found Kurt fascinating as well, because him, we sat next to each other for an hour and a half and said almost nothing. And then just turns around and also helps me out. I had no reason to. He could have, just crazy. So I walked up through town, and it's been funny. The last several towns here in the smaller towns of the Midwest, I keep coming across a visitors bureau, a tourism group or something, and sure enough, there I was. So, like, these are wonderful people. Sometimes I guess maybe I don't have an ego, I don't think, but maybe they'd like to take a picture and say, hey, this guy came through our town. So I stopped in, and Jennifer was behind the desk, and kind of told her what I was doing and gave her my card. And I said, would you like to take a picture, or could we take a picture? So she took one for me, certainly, and then took one with her. And I don't know how they'll use it, but it was great to talk to somebody again. And I made my way up to the church here, and I got situated at the church, and that's kind of where the story starts again. So at this point, pastor called me and said, hey, Jim, how you make it out? I'm finished up, can I offer you a lift anywhere? And I said, no, pastor, I'm actually sitting outside your main entrance of your worship center right here on a bench, and I'm just kind of decompressing. And at that point in time, I'd been contacted by folks, and I have two charities that I'm passionate that I want to have the family, the PTT family, make a splash with. And I had done a relatively passionate video back in Latrobe, PA, when we were under just about 500 followers, and that didn't quite take off the way I'd hoped. Again, I guess I think big, and I want to change the world in some small way. And I was asked, urged to do another one. We have almost 1,150 followers now. Was asked to do another one, and I did that as my net video, where I kind of showed a simple math equation, how simply by asking one person a week for 5 weeks to join and donate $5, and if we all do that, we'd have like over $300,000 to donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital and the Disabled American Veterans Fund. So anyway, so I did that, and not long after, the pastor rolls up with his son, and he was taking his swimming lessons, and he said, Jim, let me take you inside the church and show you around a little bit. And he did. And he said, look, I'll tell you what, we've got a rec room up here, got a couch, it's under repair, we've got stuff all over, ladders, paint. He said, but if you're okay with this, you're welcome to it tonight. So, man, I was humbled again, and can't thank you enough. And sat down, and he said, well, look, I'm gonna take my son to swimming, and then when I get back, I'd like to buy you dinner, so get to know you a little bit and talk with you. So I'm about to wrap up this first part, because the pastor is such an amazing person, some of the things he said. I want to share that. So thank you for listening. I'm going to come back with a second video real quickly. All right, love you guys. Thank you.